Welcome to Living the Next Chapter. I have an author with me that we have met already and had a little chat, and now we're back here to record. Candice J. Frazier is here with me, and I'm so happy to have you. Thank you for giving up some time today to be part of the podcast.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Welcome. Nice to see you today.
Yes, I am so happy to be here, and thank you for giving up your Sunday. When I saw on the calendar, I was like, oh, wow, he's got availability on Sunday. I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one out here like with a passion that's like, I don't care what day of the week it is. If someone wants to talk,
let's do this. Right, we got a message. We have a message. We got to get it out there.
Exactly.
If it's a Sunday afternoon, it's a Sunday afternoon. So thank you again for making time. Candice, tell everybody where you are in the world. And let's talk a little bit up front about your book, because we have other things we want to chat about as well. Yes. So first, where are you in the world?
Right now, I am located in the foothills of California, about an hour from Tahoe, 45 minutes from Sacramento. And if I really wanted to take a little road trip, I'm 3 hours from the Pacific Ocean in San Francisco. So kind of like the most prime location, because I can bounce off within an hour to 2 hours and go on many of my blissful adventures that I create for my van lifestyle that I have going on.
What is the best thing about living in California? The best.
The best part is I literally could pick a new spot each day to go explore, and I would still not be able to go explore more. I know, because I've been living here since 96 and I have yet to see it all. Yeah. And some places are so beautiful that I go back over and over again, like Lake Tahoe. I spent many summers in the beginning of my healing journey going to Lake Tahoe, because just the lake in general is so healing. It's so calm. Yeah. And it's beautiful because you have forest, but you also have beach. So that would be the benefit too, is like at any point from where I'm at, I can go and be in the forest and the mountains for like sunrise. And then I can travel 4 hours from there to the coast and watch a beach sunset. Like, where else in the world can you do that?
Wow.
I haven't found one yet, which is why I'm still here.
So when we talked originally, you mentioned your connection with nature, your connection with, getting out there into the world and experiencing life. Why is that important to you?
Well, there's many reasons it's important, and I couldn't really go into the full depth of it in this short blip, but there is a lot of studies that have been done to the healing benefits of nature. And so what I started finding when I was in nature, I was away from all of the electronics, all of the people, and I was able to be present with just myself and what was surrounding me. And what I started noticing, and I actually have written a lot of my poetry from what I see nature doing. You can see in nature, you can see the transmutation of everything and the transformation. You also see the grounded stillness and presence. Like, for instance, we talked about redwood trees.
Yeah.
They stand tall and mighty. They don't ask the trees around, hey, dude, can I be a tree today? Or should I be a bird? No, they don't ask permission. They just stand grounded, firm in their truth. And so as I started noticing nature and the animals in it, and started getting curious about spirituality and what is the meaning of this animal visiting me, I started like really spelunking down some really interesting rabbit holes. And I started seeing that my higher self, angels, whatever, were sending me messages, little breadcrumbs, one by one, showing me how to find my way out of the depths of despair. And like I don't know if you see, but I have dragonfly earrings. Dragonflies were one of the first things that came to me probably, I want to say 6 months after I had my ex removed and everything was starting to settle. And I found myself, because I had been so terrified of being alone, which is also an imprint that I had to overcome, that I was afraid to be alone. And so I wanted to be in nature, but I was afraid to be alone. Well, one day I was like, I want to go to Lake Tahoe. But then all my busy brain was like, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? But my heart was like, no, I just want to be in nature. Just go. So I was literally at war within of like, but I want to go do this. But what if I do this and this happens? And what if I go do that? And then it tells others that I don't love them and I'm selfish. So I was literally at a precipice of fighting between being codependent and independent. And if we look at nature, there's no codependency like that in nature. They work together in synergy. And so I was like, well, how can I get to a place where I am in synergy with the darkness that's inside? How can I use that to help me elevate myself rather than keep myself stuck? So that day I fought that fear and I went to Lake Tahoe. And as I was sitting on the beach, this smiles just come erupting out of my face. And I was someone that smiling wasn't something I did a lot of, because I spent a lot of time up here overthinking everything, being on guard because I had severe PTSD. And nature, again, was a place where I could let that wall down and I could be present. And so I found myself now becoming drawn to doing this. So again, let me go to nature, sitting on the beach, and I'm just immersed in this joy. And my inner self was like, thank you. And I had tears streaming down my face and I was so happy. And that little girl within was like, thank you for finally listening to me and giving me what I want, and stop saying, here, fill my cup and make me happy and tell me I'm worthy. It was me in that moment saying, I deserve a bit of peace. I deserve to see the beauty. And so I'm sitting there, and right before I left, I was like, well, I know there was a reason I came here today. Now, mind you, remember, I'm looking for all these clues that, like, why did I come here? Like, why am I seeing this animal? What am I seeing this animal? And a dragonfly lands on my umbrella. Beautiful dragonfly. And I just had this sense of beauty and trust and confidence and just presence in the now. And I was like, you've come here to tell me a message. I guarantee it. I was like, if I had Wi-Fi, I'd be looking it up right now, but I'm just going to sit in the moment. So it was a lesson as well of seeing the beauty in that right now.
Yeah.
And I have it wrote up over here. Dragonfly means joyous transformation, and it also means to elevate and succeed. And at that moment, I had finally succeeded in pushing past my own fear and gave myself what I wanted, which was I wanted to go on an adventure. I love road trips. I love field trips. I mean, who doesn't like field trips with the little brown paper bag and just that whole excitement? Yeah. So I started playing with that and giving myself more of that. And that day was the pivotal point, because that dragonfly told me that I need to live fully present, be me in every moment, and being fully self-aware and love myself unconditionally. No more chitter chatter about what I was not doing right or what I had failed in the past or what I may fail in the future. Be right here, right now. And so it was that message that the dragonfly says of seeing the beauty in all things. And so at that point, I hadn't wrote this book yet, but I was really starting to get curious about, well, what does it mean to thrive? What does it mean to stay away from people that are toxic when you've been addicted to the toxicity? Like, what the heck? What do you do? And so I kept every day showing up and imparting the wisdom of the dragonfly, which was, I need to just be love in my right now, because my right now is all I have. And I have a choice to be fear or love in everything I do. And when fear shows up, that's ego saying, I need to protect you because you might be harmed, And if you've had any kind of trauma, your grooves, your synapses, your neural pathways become wired to seek danger. When you want to be in a thrive mode, you cannot be in a survive mode. They just don't work. So nature became a place where I could turn it into a classroom, where I could go lift those heavy weights and practice that new muscle of being fully present in the right now and looking for beauty all around me. And I actually wrote, it's kind of like a poem, but I turned it into a song, and I'm just waiting for the right musician to come along and make it a song. But it's bent, not broken, because in nature, I was walking and there was this tree that had been bent over, and it was like splintered up on the corner, and it was just mangled in all these like directions. And I was like, but it still shot up and sought the light. and it kept growing anyway. It made the best of what it was doing. I was like, that's kind of like me. I have been beat down, abused, abandoned, neglected, told I'm not worthy, not good enough, never going to amount to nothing. And then repeated all the same things to myself. And then adopted this principle of self-harm and being busy and overworking and disconnecting and numbing and just like drinking it away. None of that ever created peace and happiness. It was always all about namaste away and thrive, release negative influences and love myself, because love was the thing, that was the Band-Aid I really needed, because I had never been shown how to love myself. I had grown up in a dysfunctional home where that wasn't even a topic. Emotional regulation, self-care, self-love. No, it was more like, shut up, don't speak unless spoken to. I don't care what your feelings are. It doesn't matter. And then when things would be done to me, like when I was abused, I was told, don't say anything, because if you do, it's going to be your fault. You'll get in trouble. So this pattern, I'm not the only one out there in this society that's been put in this pattern. But I am here to show people you can blaze a new trail. You can reset that groove. You can start seeing that every experience around us, every conversation as a classroom. And you get to see, am I the lesson or the message, or am I both? Because when I started realizing that everything in nature, in interactions with us, that every act is an act to love or a cry for love. And sometimes it's both. And so I had a whole wealth of wisdom that nature has taught me. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it, because when I turned off the TV and turned on Creators TV, oh my God.
Yeah. So for your book, are you capturing these lessons learned, these things that you have experienced? Is that what has gone into the book? And is that your message you're trying to share through writing the book?
That is my message. So a lot of the poetry that I write in this book and the new one that I'm also working on, because I have a couple poems here that aren't in this book, but they're in the next book that I'm working on.
Great. Yeah.
And what I do is when I have something negative. So, and this is something that I encourage people to do too, because we're all writers, we're all artists. We all have a flow we can get into because we're all connected to that divine creative flow. But we can't connect to creative flow when you're in survive mode. That's the incoherent state. Brain doesn't learn new stuff when it's in the state of survive. So what I started learning and practicing was I would take the negative experience that I was having, and then I would start to work through it with the lens of love. And you'll see when you read my book and my poetry, how I'm able to go through that darkness and really transform it and see the beauty in what was happening. Like the one I have highlighted here is mind gold. For instance, when feeling stuck, instead of feeding into the muck, flip your focus and cheer. Thank you, luck. You served your purpose as an awareness chord struck. And so instead of, now would I be like, okay, well, that's what it's here to teach me. Now what am I going to do? So as I was writing this book, I was tapped in and tuned into this higher force of just beautiful words. And I would get curious and I'd be like, okay, well, what next? And this is what I heard. Now give gratitude for contrast and the feelings that suck. Curiously seek clues brought forth while in the muck, for those are the path to where gold is struck. So for me, when I would feel triggered and focusing on things that were not thrive mode, but were all the negative things that would happen to me, I had to be like, okay, well, why did it happen for me? What was it trying to show me? So each time I would put on what I call my wonder love goggles, I got curious and I was looking through a lens of love, not fear. And that's one of the things that the next book will go deeper into, is our conscious awareness of what's happening and why it's happening, rather than saying, well, nothing ever goes right for me and everybody's against me. Well, if you have a victim mentality, well, guess what? You're going to see life and the experience you have is going to be a victim. And so for me, I didn't want to be a victim anymore. I wanted to really reset that groove. And so curiosity and love were the two ingredients that did that. So with that curiosity, the next verse was, okay, deep in the mud of overwhelming fear, relax, breathe, and take 5 to thrive. Now, 5 to thrive is another thing I've created, which is actually on my Namaste Away and Thrive website. It's a free download, a digital download that teaches people how to take 5 to thrive. And
great.
And it's amazing because it helped me really get grounded. And this is, again, I learned this in nature because it's about presence right now. Because if you're up here, you're in monkey mind. And
Monkey mind.
I know. I was actually on a hike with a group of women on Thursday. We did a little 2.5 mile hike at the lake here. And we were talking about higher consciousness and, all of those things. And I talked about the monkey mind. They're like, no monkey stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of like not the same thing, but it kind of does come because that's a whole other. But so yeah, it's that monkey mind is there to keep us safe because it doesn't like change, because change may be bad for us. And so that's kind of where I was talking at the beginning of the story. Well, if in the past change meant not good, not safe, and if being alone meant I wasn't safe, then why in the hell would I want to put myself in a place of being alone? It was very terrifying. But until you meet yourself at that crossroad of fear and meet it with love, you're going to stay stuck. And I like to say, don't be staring in your rearview mirror behind you. That's how crashes happen. We want to be in the now, in the vision of what we want to be feeling, because our beliefs and our emotion in our mind, which is why the mind is where the gold lies. That's how we create that path out of that. So
where do you see people stumbling as far as anxiety and depression? Why is it so easy to fall into that? How can you refocus and break those chains that hold us back on a regular basis? How do we do that?
Exactly. So a lot of the anxiety, I was just talking about this morning. There's a lot of things that flow into anxiety and depression. There's a groove of it that is a nutritional deficiency or a food sensitivity, meaning you're not eating the right foods for your body. Like, for instance, I tried to go vegan. I'm type O positive. I can't do that. I need high quality protein in my diet or else I don't feel so hot. Yeah. Whereas someone that is like an AB blood type would do great on a vegan or vegetarian diet and will feel crappy if they eat too much animal protein. So it's all about understanding your body type, what you've gone through, why you've happened to go through it. So anxiety and depression gets people stuck because it's a groove, it's a survive mode. And so until you understand that it's happening for you, because depression is being worried about what's behind you, but it's also deep rest. And we live in a society that says we got to be productive. You got to go, go, go. And if you're not, then you're not good enough. Well, what's going to happen if you don't have the energy to do something? And now society's saying, well, you're this, you're that, because you're not doing this or that. Well, that's going to make you anxious. So it's all about just stop. I always like to say opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, but it doesn't mean that we have to agree with it.
Yeah.
So it's really about tapping in and tuning into your inner being and letting that guide you and not putting a label on where you're at. Because when I was depressed and anxious, it was real easy for me to get caught up in the monkey mind of I should be doing this and I should be doing that. Well, that should actually keeps you stuck. So depression and anxiety, if you've been through trauma like I have, are reminders to your emotional, they're messages from your emotional body to your physical body to tell your spiritual body what's going on under the surface. So you may look calm and cool like a duck swimming on the water, but under the water, his feet are going like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was me, and it was until I adjusted diet and I removed the toxins like sugar, things that didn't agree with my body, like the glutens, because the glutens were full of all kinds of things that were not agreeing with my body, and really tapped in and tuned into my own circadian rhythm and honored it and started giving myself space to say, okay, well, I don't feel like doing anything today. I just want to be lazy. Okay. So it's really tapping into the inner child that has been suppressed. For me, this is my truth. My inner child had been suppressed. She never got to be a child. I had been in an adult role since I was basically 5 when the traumas first started happening. But from 8 years old on, I was mom and wife and took care of my brothers. I never got to be a kid, and I never got to speak my truth because I grew up in the 70s where, again, you don't just go blah, blah, blah. You only answer when spoken to.
Yeah.
So it had to be a space where I allowed myself to have that truth and really honor that. Also, a body not in motion will become restless. So you'll feel anxious. So going out in nature helped me to embrace what I call nature bathing. And there's a science behind it where the negative ions in nature just really suck out all of the negative from the EMFs, from all these devices that we're surrounded by. And then sun is vitamin D. So depression is very often linked to a vitamin D deficiency. I said nutritional deficiencies, vitamin D and B are one of those. Well, D is through the sun. So me going out into nature every day, sitting in there for 10 to 15 minutes was like healing my body in this natural way without any pharmaceuticals to do so.
Yeah.
And that's very powerful, because now at this level, I am telling my inner being, I care about you. I want you to feel good. So I'm going to do those things that make you feel more calm, that make you feel more alive and vibrant. And so it was eating more foods that were full of light, fruits and vegetables, and then nuts and seeds. So kind of like the paleo diet was kind of where I leaned into for my blood type, and that seemed to work. And as I did that, and then stopped giving my power away by worrying about, oh, look, they're not filling my cup. Oh, they must not love me. See, my mom was right. I'm not worth anything. I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. And I'm not wanted in this world. So until you start changing the conversations that you're having with yourself as a way to beat yourself down and just jump on that bandwagon of everybody else prior to that moment that has torn you to pieces, nothing's going to change. You're going to stay stuck in that depression, anxiety loop, because I like to think that it's a trauma response. It's a messenger to tell you you have gone out of alignment with your divine truth, which is you are perfect. You are infinite, and you are worthy of love, of calm, of peace, of abundance. Our birthright is to thrive. But if those birthrights get impaired, which again, I didn't know what I didn't know until I was in my 40s, that there was even a such thing called birthrights. Like, what? My brain has software that someone else installed that I had no say in. Well, let me rewrite that software, because I don't like that programming. Yeah. And that's what it is. Depression and anxiety are programs that can be rewritten to presence, peacefulness, and joy. Yes. So it's just a matter of understanding that they're messengers, and don't shoot the messenger. Embrace them, play with them, get curious with them.
So would you say, is that your message to the world, or what would you say, given the opportunity to speak to a large group of people who are struggling? What would you say? How would you direct them and give them wisdom?
I would say that, like me, what I did was I started really showing up and following only my heart's call in each moment, each day, to what set my soul on fire. What kept me inspired was what helped me turn up the transformational fire to start the brain rewire, and living in awe and wonder of all of the moments of my human experience and seeing that beauty in everything, to be now, which is being love in every moment. And that is how you live wow, because the bliss life is waiting for you, but it's only going to show up when you get into that space of being grateful for waking up, and then being grateful for, oh, I have a roof over my head. And it's really about just living in the gratitude, living intentional, living positive, and finding purpose. In order to have a happy soul, you have to be living your soul's purpose. My soul's purpose is to be a creative force to show people how to be love.
Yeah.
And that means being love in everything, even in the ones that have harmed us. You can't sit in an energy of love and fear at the same time. So we get a choice. Do you want to live in fear? Or do you want to live in love? Because when you live in love, everything just kind of falls in place from there, because now you're not taking things personally. You're being your best self and living with full integrity. You're being impeccable with your word. You're not lying and deceiving, not even yourself. And you're being fully present in every now. So, yeah, I think if I were to sum it up, probably should have answered in the first place. Just be love, be now, and you'll live wow.
I love it. So,
yeah,
Candice, let's
also
see that book again. Let's hold that up. Tell me why did you pick that title? Namaste, Away and Thrive.
I was just gonna say, I should let you speak and
yeah, no, it's good.
I'm just so excited. So at the point when I was in the toxic relationship, I kept going back to him because I was addicted to him and I didn't want to let go because I didn't want him to feel discarded and not lovable. But it really was an experience in a classroom for me to say, no, it's time to shift. And that was, nah, I'm just going to stay away and I'll thrive. As long as I release negative influences and love myself, I will thrive. And that was exactly what it did. I became the hero of my own story. And as I became more in love with myself, I stopped chasing people trying to get their love to prove my worthiness. And that's the epitome of codependency. You chase this belief that you're not lovable. So you literally will show up in an energy of need, and people will show up in a narcissistic greed to show you, hello, McFly, wake up. You're supposed to love yourself. It's not my job.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm just going to stay away from all the negativity. And when you do that, you now have vibrated at a higher vibration. And those things that now once were negative no longer show up in my world because my beliefs have shifted. And so,
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm looking at I'm like, do I want to do choice or beliefs reef? Which one do you pick? Beliefs reef or choice?
Let's go with choice.
Okay.
They're both
choice.
Perfect, but let's go with choice. Yeah.
Yeah, choice. So remember, everybody, we are always one choice away from success or ruin, encouraged by thought and voice, and our beliefs influences intention of choice. Whether the energy of sadness or rejoice, we can't blame others for our beliefs creating force, nor can we return with buyer's remorse the disempowered Trojan belief horse. We can only adjust our focus on an empowered course, one with lessons on mastery of beliefs and choice, where immersion amplifies your truth's voice, where beliefs create experiences of bliss and rejoice.
Candice J. Frazier, right there. You get to hear it directly from the author. And it's amazing. It's great. Really, really enjoy your positivity, your connection with nature. It's your great way of recharging your batteries. I know we all run low all the time because we're so busy chasing whatever it is we chase in life. We get wore out, wore down, and that's when stress, anxiety, depression all come creeping in. By disconnecting, refocusing, finding that recharging and that revitalizing of who you are. And what I love too is you haven't said at any point that there's only one way to address what you're feeling inside. It's something that has to be tailored to each individual person. And with your book and your expertise, the listeners that are listening, by picking up this book, they're going to get this knowledge and be able to apply it, and the option to be able to reach out to you and have and continue that conversation and even work with you and get that advice. I love that authors today can now be connected so closely with their audience. In that idea, Candice, how do people reach out to you? How do they find you? We'll put it all in the show notes, but let's hear how do people connect with you and get a little bit more of you in their life?
Well, thank you. And that was the other purpose too of this book, was to give people plenty of options. There's a whole 5-pillar program in there that people can walk themselves through if they want to try it on their own and be independently and have that empowerment, because I wanted to empower people to find their own path. So they can find me on namasteawayandthrive.com.
Okay.
There's free digital downloads there, and it's spelled out just like that, and is spelled out. Or they can find me on my personal page website, which is CandiceJFrazier.com. And I'm across social media primarily as Candice J. Frazier, but also Wellness with Candice. But if you go on my Candice J. Frazier website, it has all the links to all the socials. And I believe the Namaste Away does too. But yeah, you can find me across there. And yeah, it really is about just creating a community. I have a free Facebook group for people that are recovering from narcissistic abuse and trauma. And I'm creating a community and a platform in an app base, which will be on the phone, where they'll get poetry and things like this delivered on a daily basis and be part of, it'll be a membership based app and community, but they will get my light and my love and my attention on a daily basis, because my transformation wasn't done alone. I had a lot of people surrounding me, helping me along the way. And that's what I'm here to do, is support and connect others to all of the people. Cause I didn't do this all by myself.
Yeah.
No, I'm way too humble for that. And there should be credit where credit is due. But what I discovered on my own was the rehealing and revitalizing nature of nature. And that's what I just am so passionate about. And I want to eventually have an offering of field trips into nature, because I've kind of done it a little bit, but there's insurance and all that I'm still working on. But that's my goal, is, it's one more dirt road. We can all keep going down one more dirt road, and we can believe that there's going to be nothing at the end of it except nothing. Or we can believe that we are paving the golden path underneath that dirt road by what we're thinking between our ears. And so that's how I create my bliss life and unleash it, was love more, less ego. I let go of the negativity. I cultivate the positivity. I know there are golden nuggets of divine wisdom surrounding me everywhere. And it's just a matter of put on those wonder love goggles, be childlike wonder. Kids are so happy for a reason, because they're not stuck up here. So yeah, just be more childlike, have fun, love more, less ego.
You heard it here on Living the Next Chapter. This is Candice J. Frazier. Thank you so much for spending time with us, sharing your wisdom and your positivity. Appreciate that. Now go spend some time outside.
That's actually what I'm doing. When my partner comes back, that's what we're doing. We're going to go for a little hike, even though it's kind of overcast and cloudy. I was like, I need nature. I don't care if it's raining. That's what raincoats are for. I mean, I remember as a kid, we used to, I'll tell a little story. There was I grew up in the country, and there was this big dirt road in front of us. And when it would rain in Illinois, it creates mud puddles. Well, me and my brothers tried to do slip and slide. So my mom got the idea of go out and play. Yeah. Well, when we came back in, she was like, why did I sing? We were covered in head to toe in mud. It's like we went Tough Mudder out in our front yard. We were literally doing slip and slides, running into the mud, and just the water and the mud just everywhere. We were so happy. So go do more of that, people.
There we go.
Because that energy, that vibration, that excitement, I don't know about you, but I want to go play in mud now.
There you go. Thank you, Candice, for all your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hi, guys. This is Dave from Living the Next Chapter, a podcast designed to connect authors and audiences. We're always on the lookout for our next interview. If you're an author, a publisher, and you have a book, whether you're just starting, whether you're halfway through writing, or it's all done and you want to tell the world, that's why we're here at Living the Next Chapter. Get in touch with us through livingthenextchapter.com, contact us, and let's set up some time together to discuss your book, to discuss your project, and how we can get you on the show. My name is Dave, and I would love to speak to you. So go to livingthenextchapter.com, and let's get over there together and discuss all the great things that you're up to as an author, as a publisher, and let's grow your audience together. Join us on livingthenextchapter.com for great authors and an audience that's eager to hear about what you're up to as an author and a publisher. Contact us today and let's get your book out in front of others. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation, not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.